So one of the questions is, if the ANC dropped below 50% in a future election, would you continue to support it? And only 2/3 of its voters said yes. And we thought in that there's something very important, that you're turning out to vote for the ANC because you might as well vote for the party that's going to win an election, which is a perfectly sensible thing to do. I mean, you might as well vote for the winning side. And we thought then that, look, if the ANC is going to go under 50, which we knew it could, that's going to trigger an even sharper dissent. Because the reason to vote for you're frustrated with the ANC, you don't think it's governed well, you don't like its policies, it's not accountable, it's anti-poor, but at least it's winning. So it will be there, it gives us a chance. But if the ANC goes under 50, we thought a big chunk of the ANC vote is going to fall out of the bottom of the party. The second question that gave us a similar kind of feeling was the point was, the statement was put to respondents: the country will devolve into anarchy and violence if the ANC is ever voted out of power. It will fall apart in sort of violent mayhem. And 60% of ANC voters agreed with that. And we thought this is very dangerous for the ANC, because if the ANC is voted out of power, we don't think the country will devolve into more mayhem than it is ordinarily in. And ANC voters will see the ANC go under 50, see that things remain pretty much the way they were when the ANC was in power. And this sort of negative motivation to vote for the ANC, we might as well, because otherwise there'll be violence and anarchy in the streets. And remember, in a lot of poor communities, South Africa sees a lot of political protest action and violence, but for the poor, that's often very real, because it happens on the streets. Kids get involved in protests, they get shot by the police. The shops get looted, foreign immigrants who run many of the shops in poor communities get attacked and worse. And so those communities really suffer from violence, whereas elite South African society, to some extent, can retreat to its enclaves during sort of moments of unrest. And we thought that if the ANC voters see that the ANC loses power and there's not more violence and anarchy than usual, this as a motivating factor to stay in the ANC is also going to fall away. And then the third one that we asked, and this is really a statement how disgraceful South Africa's mainstream media has been. We said the DA will bring back apartheid if it ever gets to power. And 70% of ANC voters said they believe that will happen, because they'd been taught that by the media. The media had articulated that view. But then the DA did, in some respects, get to power. It's in the cabinet, as many cabinet seats, governs with the ANC. And initially, if you were to be critical of the DA and government, you say it was so very meek and obliging to the ANC, almost trying to not offend its new partner in government. And that sentiment fell away as well. And I had a little session a while back for some people who weren't of the DA. I said to them, in some respects, you guys did a really weird thing in getting into the GNU. Because firstly, you've fallen under 50, so that reason to vote for you, if there's no other reason, that's gone. You've shown the country that when you're gone, it doesn't devolve into anarchy and violence. So that reason to vote for you is gone. And you've demonstrated, which was obviously always the case, and you all knew it, that the DA has no intention of reintroducing anything approaching apartheid. And now you've taken that away. And this is what the GNU's done, and therefore it's placed the DA strategically in a much stronger position relative to yourselves because of this GNU. But you can't back out now. You can't now undo the GNU and say, well, can't we go back to where we were just a few months ago? Because people have seen it. The spell has been broken. And your only way back, if you are the ANC and you wish to get back to power, and I think the ANC can, is actually to improve the material circumstances of people in a similar way to which that party did so in the first 13 or 14 years after 1994. And another reason, just on that, another reason was that people had confidence in Mr. Ramaphosa as a leader. They don't have that confidence in any of his potential successors. And so we added this to the list, saying, look, the next time you go to a national election, you're going to do so without him. So you're going to go to an election in a position where people don't think the DA are racist, bringing back apartheid. They're not scared of anarchy and violence. They've got no reason to vote for you as the winning party because you're not the winning party, and you don't have Cyril Ramaphosa. Really, you guys are in serious trouble, and your only way out is a really aggressive move towards raising the investment rate by, this was before the American business and Trump's election. But if we were doing that today, we'd say by, for example, hastening yourselves to the White House Historical Association dinner that you should have attended, but didn't, and saying, yeah, we want to do a massive investment pact with you way beyond tariffs, reindustrialize South Africa. And that's the sort of route that might get you back to power in 2029. Gabriel.
Yeah, Franz, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the kind of psychological effects of the GNU. And James, I'll come to you right after that. Maybe you can add to this question. But I've got this sense, as you point out, we sit in the SRF together, so I get to look at these numbers as well as you do. And I had this sense that everything you pointed out about what happens now that the ANC has introduced the GNU into the kind of South African psyche, that it's gotten rid of the kind of negative aspects that kept people inside of the ANC tent, and then it has also provided a lot of legitimacy towards the DA by, if there were actually horrific, horrible racists who wanted to bring back apartheid, then the ANC would never be willing to work with them. But in fact, they're not that. And so the ANC is perfectly happy to work with them. But a point that you didn't touch on, which I think is really interesting and worth thinking about, is I think that, as you point out, that the DA's been put in a fantastic strategic position because of the GNU, but also they've been put in a fantastic strategic position because it's very easy for them to be, it is actually very good for them, I think, in the eyes of a lot of the South African public to be seen as a useful contributor. So they came in, they weren't, aggressive, loud, and demanding of the ANC. Said no. Now that we're in government, you have to listen to us. They said no. We're kind of happy to help you. And this is actually quite a good look for them, especially in the short term, because essentially they hand off the responsibility for poor performance back to the ANC. They say, you guys want to claim leadership of the GNU? That's totally fine, because that you're not making any of the necessary improvements to the country, and so it's not like we're losing out on claiming these massive victories. What we're doing is we're kind of washing our hands of being responsible for the implementation of your policies, but we're willing to be a helpful and useful partner. And people see that interaction and go, well, yeah, I guess these DA guys are really not that bad. They even willing to go so far as to implement some things that they don't really like because they don't want to kick up a fuss and throw tantrums and whatever. And I think that that the kind of psychological effect that has, if day in day out you see, will be enough to kind of break any of the last remaining arguments as to why you should hold inside of the ANC.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. But now it's too late for the ANC because the public are so invested in this GNU deal. They really like it. They liked it before it was even real. They liked it even before the election. The idea of it. Still, it's a bit dated, but public opinion still thinks the GNU is doing pretty well. I suppose that's off the relative baseline of what the alternative was. And so the ANC has no way out now. Because if it were to, let's say, hear this conversation and think, oh, what have we done? let's immediately terminate this. You're simply compounding the error because the public likes the deal now. And so you're making one mistake after the other. It's a thing James and I sometimes talk about, that the ANC used to be really good at taking strategic decisions. It was really good at that. And of the last few years, it's just shocking. Every decision is a mistake. It's a massive mistake with huge negative repercussions for the party. One step after the other, culminating in this thing a few weeks ago where Mr. Ramaphosa told his ANC colleagues that the country would be better off if it was governed by the DA. I mean, that's to say to your supporters who already suspect this might be true, that you yourself have come to this view. So, yeah, the inability, just the mistakes that get made time and again.